This video is sponsored by Insta360. Hello, so last year I got the chance to try out the Insta360 Ace Pro 2, however not just as the regular action cam that it is, but also for photography. Back then I used it with the Explorer grip and I instantly fell in love with just how rugged and tactile that setup was. And it's obviously a winning concept as more and more brands seem to jump on board of that ship. But Insta360 has already upped the game once again and took the entire concept one step further with the introduction of the Explorer Grip Pro, which now isn't just a rugged case to slot your Ace Pro 2 in for better ergonomics, protection and a more tactile experience when shooting. No, this thing actually connects to your Ace Pro 2 both wirelessly via Bluetooth and with an actual USB-C port for charging, because it does actually have its own battery which charges the Ace Pro 2 and significantly extends its operating time. The Explorer Grip Pro also comes with wheels and buttons with actual functionality. More on that in a minute though. And much to my delight, it just looks sick. This barely looks like an action cam anymore. I think this entire setup looks so well integrated that at a glance, if you didn't know that this was an action cam in a cage, you probably wouldn't guess it. With the Explorer Pro grip, the ergonomics are easily on par with those of a great point and shoot camera, and the entire shooting experience is just elevated that much further. However, with all of that praise out of the way, this isn't even what this video is about for the most part. It's also not about the various different lens adapters that Insta360 now offers, even for stuff like an anamorphic look. No, this video is mostly about my favorite accessory for the Ace Pro 2 by a country mile, which has given me so much joy over the past few weeks that I've been using it that I can barely put it into words. And that is this little printer right here. Now, if you've never heard of it, this is basically what you probably think it is. It's a tiny little photo printer that attaches directly to the bottom of the Explorer Pro grip and connects to the Ace Pro 2 via Bluetooth, and who would have thought, it allows you to print your photos on the spot. And as simple as it sounds, it's amazing. This setup looks almost like a futuristic type of Polaroid camera, and it's almost a bit ridiculous considering that the starting point of a setup such as this is a relatively tiny camera. But still, I love it. Even with the Explorer Pro grip and the printer, the setup is easily small enough to throw into any backpack, and it also stores away nicely since you can easily take it apart by the press of a button. Now, some of you will get a setup like this right away, but others might wonder why you would want something like this in a day and age where you can easily store and transport all of your photos digitally on your smartphone of choice. And I mean, it's a bit hard to explain, but at the end of it, it's just good fun. It's hard to put into words, but the experience of taking a photo and having an actual material print of your photo in your hands just shortly after is something else. By now I've used this setup extensively for all types of photography, and it's just a very enjoyable way to preserve those memories for the future and to be able to hold my photos in my hands and look at them even when my smartphone is turned off. That aside though, it's also just worth mentioning that with the Explorer Grip Pro, the ergonomics for photography are just really decent for what started out as an action cam. Now, I personally love shooting wide angle or even ultra wide angle, which is what an action cam is for, but especially when printing, I mostly use the 2x zoom mode, which gives me something like a 35mm-ish equivalent field of view in full frame terms. And I think that just works best for photos and prints of this sort. So it's a nice thing that the zoom rocker on the Explorer Pro grip also allows you to use that digital zoom and makes it feel like using a zoom on a point and shoot camera. Obviously, since the idea here is to print your photos right away, I don't get to edit my photos, but I also never felt like I had to because the Ace Pro 2 offers a bunch of different looks, which are essentially like built-in presets, including a few by Leica. And so you can choose to shoot with them directly in camera, and that will give your photos that special character. And to make things easier, you can even switch between different looks by using the little wheel on the Explorer Pro grip. Oh, and by the way, if you are not happy with the shot that you got for whatever reason, always remember that you don't have to waste a print, because the camera will ask you every time if you actually want to go ahead and print or not. And so in summary then, I think this Explorer Pro grip combined with the printer are, in my personal view, the greatest additions that Insta360 has come up with for the Ace Pro 2 so far, and perhaps the greatest photography related accessory for any action cam that I've ever tried. It's just heaps of fun to use, and more importantly, it just gives you a physical representation of that memory that you wanted to capture. And so you can hang it onto your wall or leave it by your bedside or whatever, and you always have it there to look at. And I don't know, that's just something else. I think a lot more photos should be printed generally, and this is such an easy and convenient way to do it on the fly. Yeah, I just love it. Again, heaps of fun. There are, of course, more analog alternatives to get the same result, but I think this is a great combo of both analog and digital, and kind of a best of both worlds type of scenario, where you get all of the advantages of having a digital file and being able to select whether you want to print or not, but still you end up with a physical representation of that digital file. And so you can touch it and hold it in your hands and just enjoy it forever. In order to avoid any kind of confusion though, this Ace Pro 2 with the Explorer Pro grip is not meant to replace any of my bigger, more serious quote-unquote cameras. No, this is an action cam for the most part, but since I'm usually bringing an action cam just about everywhere I go anyway, it's just super easy to just bring the grip as well, and often enough also bring the printer and have it with me for good fun. So this is just something else that I like to add to my regular backpack or my camera backpack, because yeah, it just brings a new level of joy to my photography. And so if you want to check out the Ace Pro 2 and the accessories that I talked about in this video as well, feel free to check the link in the description below. Again, thanks to Insta360 for sponsoring today's video, and thank you so much for watching. I hope this was interesting to you, and I will see you in another one. Until then, take care. Bye.